We're back and we're here to talk about tango partners and about where to find a tango partner. It's a very difficult one. They say finding a tango partner is like finding your unicorn. It's very hard to find, very impossible to achieve. But over the years, we've had our own share of tango partners.
Yeah, I've had like, what, 4 or 5?
I've had, a couple.
Yeah. I mean, some lasted, some didn't, but that's part of it. But it's really, actually, here's a tough part, because we're speaking this from the guy's perspective. Right. I think it's really easy for a guy to find a partner. I mean, whether it be the partner you wanted is a different story.
Yeah, because if you are, and we're obviously being more biased, we're speaking as the guys being leads.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I feel like if that finding a good lead is always like a priority out there.
Well, right? more like finding a lead who's actually willing to commit to something.
True.
I mean, there are a lot of leads out there, but how many of them are gonna say, to join you for a workshop, to put in some practice time, to not dance with 20 different ladies that night? It's like, just you, baby, just you. So it's hard. I feel for the ladies sometimes. I mean,
So when I started out, I remember Brian telling me it was like my second month. He's like, you got to go find a partner. And I met Rochelle at a Milonga. It was LAX Milonga, right by the airport. I remember I saw her and we danced. I forget. I talked about, now looking back, it sounds so cringy. I think we talked about, I was like, yeah, you want to win Mundial?
Hey, baby, I'm taking you all the way to the moon.
like that was the aspirations. Like I danced with her and she just was like amazing. I was like, oh my God, she's like the best dancer I've ever danced with. And I was like, we can win. Like, this is me, like 2 months in the tango. We can win the world championship if we just push forward. And I remember saying that. We stayed in contact. And I think, every Milonga we just dedicated like tandas and tandas to dance because we were far away. Like, I lived in the valley in Northridge and she lived in like Irvine, like Rancho Cucamonga area, like very far away. Diamond Bar. Diamond Bar. It was like an hour and 20 minutes distance. Yeah. So we really never got to practice.
Well, you practice every day at the Milonga.
At the Milonga, that was
that's the one thing that really annoyed me. You're like, dance time is practice time. I'm like, don't practice the Milonga, man. Milongas are fun. But then again, I was a very hardline traditionalist because it's like, you don't talk to the Milonga, you don't do it, So I had a really different idea of things.
Right, but I mean, our form of practice was like, we would just give feedback after the songs, talk about, what do you feel? Does this feel right? Like, should I do more of this? Or like, what is this? And so I guess that was our practice.
Yeah. So my first partner was actually Brenda. And, the thing was, I guess I wanted to compete and I wanted to ask somebody else and she was not available at the time. There was a lot of things going on and I said, well, maybe we'll train next year. And then Brenda approached me and she's like, well, if there's no one, I was friends with Brenda.
Wait, where did you meet Brenda? You were already friends?
Yeah, we were already friends. I met Brenda through Alona. Okay. And, and then Alona suggested it. And I'm like, and Brenda just kind of said, well, why don't we just compete this year? Like no harm, no foul, just to get out there and everything. And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not, And that started our partnership there. And
it's interesting. So both of our partnerships, our first partnerships, was strictly for competition reasons.
Yeah. Because I was a social dancer back then. I was taking classes. I was taking privates by myself. The whole idea of practicing with partners, like having a committed partner, was kind of foreign to me at that time. And no one told me to go find a partner. Like, I didn't get that memo,
Well, I mean, Brian and Briuli were fresh off their ATUSA and Mundial victory, so they wanted to pass that on and kind of go that salon competition route.
Yeah, and also I think during that time I was I guess I kind of did what most guys do, which was I was looking for someone to date.
Of course, I mean that's.
And then I was like, so that person was not available at the time.
Oh my God.
Hey, I'm being honest here. I can be totally honest about it. So yeah, that's what happened.
I mean, me and Rochelle dated.
Yeah.
It was short-lived, comparatively.
Yeah.
But I think it was weird because in her mind, were we only dating because of our dancing? And that was like kind of the inception in her mind, because the idea in her mind she couldn't get out. It was like, oh, if I break up with Derek, will we still dance? And so I guess that was always lingering. Like, does he like me for my dance, or does he like me?
Yeah, and that's also like, that's something I found out later with you know, my last relationship, because it was like you know, after our breakup, it was almost like, you know, we don't really have much in common besides the dancing. But back to partnerships. Sorry, gotta stay on tack.
Finding a partner. Well, what would you recommend if someone said, "Hey, Rob, you know, I'm trying to get in this competitive thing. Like, where do I go?"
Well, first, I mean, I would say, is this a guy or a girl?
Okay.
And you know, is it a guy or a girl? And age actually matters here.
Why?
Why? Because like, I think that you don't want to come off as weird and creepy, you know, or desperate. That's because I think those are negative attributes. So let's say if you're an old guy, right?
An old guy.
Let's just say you're let's just say you're pushing 50,
okay,
right? You know, and let's say, you know, you don't look like a supermodel. You know, you're not 6 feet. You know, you don't have ripped abs or anything.
Right.
You gotta be a little bit more realistic. I mean, should you be asking for a 20-year-old to go start partnering? I mean, that's like, you know, I mean, if you're not Leo DiCaprio, then maybe not, you know? So I think it's one of those things where be reasonable about how charismatic you are.
Okay.
Because, you know, some guys at 50, they're very charismatic, they're really good looking, and sure, cool, whatever, right?
Right.
But like someone who might not have all of God's gifts, whether it be dance skills or being aesthetically pleasing, maybe, you know where your limits are. And I think that's a really, hey, I'm just being honest there. You know, I mean, like, am I going to go out and start looking for a 20-year-old partner? No, I'm not. You know, that's, right. I mean, maybe someone who I've known for like 3 or 4 years. So, you know, it's not like, oh, here's creepy Rob coming up. I'm not going to go up to like someone I just met. Oh, I felt a connection. We should really be partners and compete. Do you really like Carlitos? They got a workshop coming up. You know, it's like, no, dude.
Well, that's interesting. Like, would you meet someone in a workshop or a class? Do you think that's better than meeting someone naturally at a Malanga?
Well, so again, this goes back to, is it a guy or a girl, right? If it's a guy, I think it's really important to prove to everyone that you're serious about tango. Right. It's not just hey, I'm out here to fool around and date and whatever, right? That you seriously practice. And I think one of the good things is that if you have a reputation for practicing by yourself at a practica, and like you're working on your walk, you're working on your turns, right, people go, hey, that guy's pretty serious, right? Because you're gonna be out there, you know, whether there be a lady or not. But I would say start with the practicas, and see who do you like practicing with. And maybe it might help to actually go to the Malongas, because when people start liking to dance, you know, like when people like the way you dance, they might pop the question, because
pop the question.
sorry. But what we're trying to say is, like, just based on scarcity, yeah, the guys are the prize.
True. I mean, we're rare. It's very rare.
So when you're serious, right? People are going to be asking you, hey, I really like this workshop. Do you want to go?
You want to go? You want to practice? You're free to practice what we learn.
Yeah. So, like I think, you know, there's 2 ways to go about it. If you're a guy, you can go and find a partner and get good. Or 2, you can get really good on your own, take some privates and everything, and people will start asking you. Because if a guy shows commitment, that's already a unicorn. You know? I hate to say it, the bar is so low that it's like, if you're a guy and you're like, you take tango seriously, you're doing workshops, you're helping people out, you practice all the time, people are going to recognize that, and they're going to go, hey, this is someone who isn't, you know, he's in it to win it.
Here's an interesting thought, though. As an experienced lead, would you want an inexperienced follower that you can kind of mold yourself and like teach, or would you want someone experienced that already has some ability and talents, and you're kind of learning from them. Because I started with Rochelle, and she had a year and a half on me, even though she was in Diamond Bar, where there wasn't a lot of dancing. Yeah. She was still naturally talented at the dance and really good, and I felt like I was always catching up. And that actually was a huge advantage for me, I think, in my own mentality as a leader, because I always thought, man, I need to get better. I need to catch up to Rochelle. Like, she's so far ahead of me. I'm doing everything wrong. It's all my fault. And I learned how to take full accountability of my own dancing. Like, I didn't have an ego, because like my ego was always destroyed by Rochelle, because like I was like, all right, she's a great dancer. I know it's my fault. I got to figure out how to solve this problem.
Well, it's hard for me to say, because I've never had a partner who was more experienced than me. You know, everyone was actually less experienced. They might be better, but they were all less experienced.
Right.
You know, and that could just be, it's just maybe I wasn't good enough to attract someone who was way more experienced. You know, I mean, that just might be the case, you know. And there's many reasons why partnerships work, or the inception of a partnership works or it doesn't work. But for me, I think what's most important is if they're committed, because sometimes I've danced with people who are really naturally talented, but they don't have the work ethics, or they're just not committed. I would rather take someone brand new who's in it to win it, that, you know, and not because like I'm trying to mold them to my thing, but it's just like, hey, you want to spend 5 days a week? I want to spend 5 days a week. Let's make this work, right? My current partner, less experienced than me. Yeah. She has a lot of natural talents, though. Yeah. And you know, we respect each other as partners. Yeah. But you know, again, it's just one of those things where she made herself available to practice for me, and it was a fluke. You know, it was just one of those. I put a call out because I had a change of partners for the group choreography. Yeah. And I contacted 4 or 5 different people. And she was the one who actually came out, stuck with it, and you know, she asked for everything that she did everything I asked for, and you know, I couldn't have asked for more.
So availability is a huge one.
Availability is a huge one.
I mean, it's interesting because I remember when we lived together, and you know, my partner Rochelle, she was so far away, and every morning I would see Lauren and Johnny. They were partners.
8 hours a day.
And they would start.
We'd go work out. Come back, have lunch, fool around, you know, play board games, come back, and they're still at it.
And I was like, oh my God, what are we doing? That was when I was like, I would text Rochelle like, hey, we need to practice. Johnny and Lauren are out here like every day, nonstop.
But you know, that's the other thing. Like I would say, like, it's that kind of rivalry. I mean, it's not like we're at each other's throats or anything. No. But it's that kind of like, you know, someone leading the charge that makes you kind of like up your game too. And like, sure. And it, you know, I don't know if we have that here, you know?
Yeah. Like that environment that just wants you to, that pushes everyone to be better.
Yeah. And you know, like lately I gotten that from the team performance, because like my, you know, Carlton, my teachers, like they just go, I know you can do better. Go back and do it again.
We should actually react to that video. We'll probably save that for another day.
Okay.
But, we should actually watch the group choreo.
Thanks. But I mean, but that's the thing. Is like maybe one of the issues is low expectations.
What do you mean?
Like maybe like, you know, we're not doing as well, you know, all around, like as partners, as everything, because we have low expectations. Like in terms of, oh, as long as I got the move right, it's good enough. Not about being clean. Not about being perfect. Not about how good is my extension. You know, like how am I doing? Like, and that's also hard because, you know, from the very beginning, I didn't even know what I'm looking for. I was no, I'll be honest with you. Like I was just like, hey, I did a staccato, woohoo, you know. Yeah. It wasn't until like this, like, and you know, like it wasn't until like this year I can now consistently do a back staccato. It's been like what 12 years. Like that's the wrong thing to chase. I'll tell you that. You know? But yeah, like, different advice for guys, different advice for girls. So what kind of advice would you give for a girl that she wants to find a partner?
Oh man, that's a tough one. If you are looking for, because let's face it, they're not looking for an inexperienced leader. No. Right? They're looking for an experienced leader.
but there's things like, I mean, like if if you're not like a top contender,
Right.
you know, how can you get a good partner? You know, there's only like there's 50 ladies looking for a partner, and there's only 25 leads who might consider it. You know, how do you make sure that you're not only one of the 25, but the upper level of that 25 to attract that upper level of, you know?
Interesting.
Because that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to, I hear, like, I would say it's better to have a bad leader than no leader. That's the first part.
I don't know about that.
Well, okay, a bad leader who's willing to listen, who's willing to work, right? I'm not talking about like some guy who's barking orders and thinks he knows everything because they read Tango and Chaos or something. Yeah, don't read Tango and Chaos. Do not read Tango and Chaos. But yeah, you know, that's the thing. It's like, I mean, like, you don't want some guy who took 2 lessons with Gabriel Mise. It's like, I know tango, you know?
Well, I guess like your goals have to align, right? What are your goals?
Yeah.
Are you partnering just to be a better social dancer, or are you partnering to go win Mundial?
Yeah, that's true. But what I'm saying is that regardless of what the goals are, I think the level isn't as important as the commitment. And when I say commitment, I'm not talking about hours to put into it. I'm talking about hours, I'm talking about effort, and I'm talking about the ability to communicate, take feedback, take criticism, you know? And taking criticism is a huge one, you know? Because how many times have you been in a fight with your partner? It's like you didn't lead it. And I'm like, yes, I did. You're not following it. You know?
Well, that was the mentality I told you. Right?
Yeah.
Because of Rochelle, I never encountered that problem really, because I always thought it was my fault. I was always looking for what can I do better. I never blamed, I guess growing up that way.
Yeah,
Tango was my mentality.
Right, well, I had those fights. I had a lot of those fights. I don't have that fight as often now, but like definitely for the first 6, 7, 8 years, I had those fights. But yeah, but
and what do you do to solve that fight? Do you just give it time, or like do you video record yourself, or do you just concede, or like what is?
Back then it was let's table that idea, take a private. I'm not kidding. I paid teachers to tell me who was right, who was wrong. Hey, I'm just being totally honest here. You know, I mean. It's like I had that much of a chip on my shoulders. Like unless I heard it from a teacher.
No, but the problem with that is when you take a private, especially with a partner, the teacher usually is so good that they'll be able to lead your partner, and vice versa. You'll be able to lead them. Like,
yeah, but it took a teacher to say, "Hey, Rob, you're screwing up," and I'm like, "Okay, that's on me," you know. And maybe sometimes it's a little 50-50, you know, because if my partner wasn't hearing it. You know, we need a higher authority. We didn't. So my ability to communicate, my ability to take criticisms wasn't as sharp as it is now. I mean, now it's like, sure, give it to me. Tell me I'm horrible. Whatever. You know, I'm in it to win it. You know.
I see.
But going back to where can ladies find partners, and how do ladies find partners?
I mean, there's only pretty much 2 options, right? Classes or milongas. I mean.
Yeah. Okay. Practicas, but.
Practicas too. Yeah.
Yeah, but what advice would you give? Like, would you just approach some random person and be like, "Hey, I like the way we dance. Want a partner?"
Well, I think it's not want a partner. I think it's more of like, do you want to practice, right? And I kind of learned this from our former roommate who used to make the rounds of like, you know, different partners, different times, and just working things out.
Yeah.
And some people just want to practice, and they're fine with just practicing for an hour. And,
okay, so here's the thing.
But not being an official partner.
Yeah, there's that. But, okay, would you give the same advice to a lady who's 20? And the same advice, would you give the same advice to a person who's, let's say, 45?
Oh, man.
And then would you give that same advice to a person who's 65?
No, I mean, there's obviously different advices.
Okay, so someone who's 45 wants to have a partner, what would you say?
I mean, first, I kind of want to ask, like, what is your goal here? Again, it goes back to that.
They just want to be better. Let's just flat out. They want to be better.
They just want to be better.
They want to be better. They want to be a better dancer. They want to be a better dancer. They want to be a better. Let's just start with let's just say they just want to be a better social dancer. Let's just take competition out of the equation because I think that's the lowest bar.
Well, I think you have to be sociable, right? You can't just hide in the corner at like practicas and milongas and expect things to just come to you.
Yeah.
Right? So you have to open up some dialogue. And I think maybe if you started taking some classes and you see some people that are also taking classes with you, I think that's probably the best route. You'd be like, yeah, you wanna take this other workshop, or you wanna like take this class with me.
And maybe have that question. It's like, hey, what like you dance someone that you like, right? And maybe a lady, I would suggest to say, hey, because you gave this suggestion to me, which is, who are your favorite dancers? Who are your favorite performers, right?
It's important one.
And maybe that's like, okay, well now I know their style, right? And like, oh, you like Carlitos? I like Carlitos too.
Yeah.
Okay, like there's that workshop's coming in like 2 weeks. So Tanya, right? Shameless plug for Tanya and Dennis. Carlitos and Agustina coming in a few weeks.
That's a good one, right? I guess that's a good way to build, right? Because I think watching videos together is important as a learning experience.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Rochelle did that all the time. We would watch certain clips, and I would tell her, "Oh, this part in this video, like, and she would like know exactly which part I'm talking about."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I think that is actually pretty important.
Yeah. And then the other thing I might suggest is for social dancing, let's just take the social dancing. Like, I think you need to make yourself available for social events. And what I mean by that is make yourself available to for the opportunity for, let's say, a post-Malonga cafe run. Or if you're at a marathon.
Like dinner outings.
Yeah, because the thing is, if you don't have friends, you're less likely to find, if you do not have friends, you're less likely to find a partner.
Well, I mean, we're kind of biased here because I would say that we're probably two of the more sociable characters in the tango scene. Yeah. But what if you're not sociable? What if you're introverted? What if you're shy?
Well, hope you have a sociable friend to introduce you. Hey, I've introduced a few people to each other that are like less shy. Like, hey, she's cool. She likes I think you guys might match up well. I'm not trying to say I'm a matchmaker here, but I mean, I've introduced people to each other, and they've one or two have gone to be partners in workshops and stuff. So
I see.
It doesn't hurt. Contact your organizer. Say, hey, I want to take your workshop. Who is available to partner with me?
Right.
And there's always a loose. Organizers know who likes who, and if you like a specific couple that's coming in town, your organizer, the organizer teacher might know somebody. So, work those resources.
Fair enough.
Let's see. But here's the question, though. Okay, so let's say lady 65, she wants to get serious in tango. Maybe she's like 2 or 3 years in.
Right.
What do you suggest?
Well, that's a tough one, honestly.
Because how many serious 65 plus guys are there?
That's the thing.
And then, or how many guys are serious enough and accept someone who's 65 to grow to their level? Because, if someone's, let's say, if a guy's like 25, they might partner for like a year or two. And then it's like, I'm sorry, I'm young and nimble, and you're not.
I mean, then that's the taxi pro-am thing that develops, right?
Yeah.
That's just why people of that age pay professionals or to taxi dance or perform.
So is that the case? It's just like what, you're 65. Good luck. Hope you won the lottery to hold all these taxis.
That sounds so morbid, but
I don't have a lot of answers to that one, but I think that is a question that we really need to think about, especially if when people start reaching a certain age. And even people who've been like dancing for 15, 20 years and they reach a certain age, people just kind of get lost in the wash.
Yeah, that's true.
So
that's another topic to
yeah, it is.
To dive into.
But I think the one thing is it's really important to be social. And if you're introverted or don't like being social,
but the thing is, tango attracts a lot of introverts because there's not a lot of social
just because they're introvert doesn't mean they cannot be social. I mean, you can be social in small groups, right? You don't need to be the life of the party per se,
Right.
But you do need to make yourself available for, let's say, a party of 4 for a luncheon. That's not too much. That's not much to ask, is it?
Well, we also don't have a culture of eating after milongas in the U.S. That's the thing. That's another abroad thing that actually we could have talked about in other cultures.
I don't know. We hung up a lot in the taco truck.
That's true.
we probably support a few taco trucks.
That's true.
But like still festivals, you always see people going out eating lunch. It's all like, hey, what are you guys eating? Mm-hmm. Oh, do you have room? I mean, okay, this is my take. If you want to play mother hen, which a lot of people say, oh, you gotta play mother hen to be sociable. Like when you go to a festival, make that reservation for 6, make that reservation for 8, and try to fill it up. Like that should be a goal, you know. Go to your afternoon milongas and be at the festivals and just be like, hey, what are you guys doing afterwards? Oh, I have a reservation for 8. Want to join? Easy way to even like just break the ice. And maybe, who knows, one of those people might know somebody who might know somebody who might be looking for a partner, or maybe one of those people might be looking for a partner. But like, if you don't open yourself up those opportunities, like it's hard. It's hard. It's hard enough finding a good partner. It's hard enough just finding a partner. So
it is.
So yeah, I would say both guys and girls, like, leave enough room for social opportunities.
Yeah, you have to put yourself out there a little bit.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Because like no one's gonna do it for you, or unless you have a really good buddy. I don't know. Take a wingman. Yes, there you go. Or wing woman.
I see.
All right.
Well, until next time, we are left foot, right foot. Thank y'all for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.